Hi friends, I'm Shankar Pandey and this is the Dr. USP channel. The term rhetoric is used in many senses. For example, when we say fiery political rhetoric, we mean to say the style of the speaking. Or when we say that his statements were more rhetoric than substance, we mean to say that the content had less substance. Rhetoric broadly refers to the use of language to persuade or to create an effect in the audience. Greek philosopher Aristotle suggested three criterion for good communication. The first is ethos, which means the credibility of the speaker. The second is pathos, which is about creating an emotional connect with the audience. And the third is logos, the logic in the argument. In modern times, rhetoric has been used in online communication and in things such as social media, influencing, and pretty much every kind of communication. Let us see Rhetoric Made Easy, the Art of Persuasion in this video. Rhetoric is as simply defined as possible the art of persuasion, the attempt by one human being to influence another in words. A discourse can be any speech, written or spoken, as well as the exchange of symbols or meanings in any context. Persuasion occurs when someone convinces you of something. It includes the dramatic experience of being moved to action by a speech, as well as more subtle processes such as being influenced by advertising or political ideology. Rhetoric ties these two concepts together. Rhetoric, the art of oratory, was developed in ancient Greece and Rome, both as a general communication theory and as a collection of practical advices on how to convince an audience. Rhetoric exerted decisive influence on society. With the growth in written communication, it was gradually transformed into an art of writing. It became closely associated with the writing of literature. Rhetoric is the ancient art of persuasion that dates back to Aristotle. There are three primary types of rhetorical appeals. Ethos is an appeal to the audience's sense of ethics or morality. It involves establishing credibility or trustworthiness of the speaker or writer. Ethos can be established by highlighting qualifications, experience, or a reputation for being honest and ethical. Pathos is an appeal to the emotions of the audience. It involves evoking feelings such as pity, fear, or joy to persuade the audience to accept the speaker's or writer's argument. Logos is an appeal to the audience's sense of logic or reason. It involves using facts, statistics, and logical arguments to persuade the audience. The old Greco-Roman manuals divided rhetoric into 5 parts: inventio, dispositio, elocutio, memoria, and actio. Invention or inventio is the process of finding and developing arguments and ideas for a speech or piece of writing. This element involves the identification of the main topic as well as the arguments and evidence that will support it. The speaker formulates a thesis or central argument in this stage. Arrangement dispositio refers to the organization of arguments and ideas in a logical and coherent manner. It includes introduction, exordium, which captures the audience's attention, statement of facts or narratio, which provides context for the argument, division or partitio, which outlines the main points or arguments to be presented, proof confirmatio, offers evidence and reasoning to support the arguments, conclusion peroratio, summarizes the main points. Style or elocutio involves the choice of words, tone, and sentence structure to create a distinctive voice and appeal to the audience. It involves the use of various rhetorical devices such as metaphors, similes, alliteration, and hyperbole to enhance the impact of the speech or text. The appropriate style should be chosen based on the audience, occasion, and purpose of the communication. Memory or memoria is the ability to memorize and recall information, which was a crucial skill for rhetoricians. Memory involves techniques and strategies to retain and retrieve information such as visualization, association, and repetition. A good memory enables the speaker to deliver a fluid and engaging speech without stumbling or forgetting key points. It's an introduction to mnemonics. Delivery or pronunciatio refers to the actual presentation of the speech, including vocal tone, volume, pacing, and non-verbal cues like facial expressions, gestures, and body language. A well-delivered speech engages the audience, conveys emotions, and reinforces the message. A powerful argument can fall flat if presented in a monotonous or unconvincing manner. Deliberative speeches aim to persuade the audience to take or avoid certain actions in the future. These speeches are often used in political or policy-making contexts, where the speaker argues for or against specific proposals, policies, or courses of action. The primary audience for deliberative speeches is decision makers or citizens with voting rights. Forensic or legal speeches aim to establish the guilt or innocence of an individual or group by presenting evidence and arguments. These speeches are typically used in legal settings such as courtrooms or public inquiries. The primary audience for forensic speeches is judges, juries, or other individuals responsible for determining the truth and making judgments. Epidictic or ceremonial speeches aim to praise or blame individuals, groups, or concepts. These speeches are often delivered during ceremonies or special occasions where the speaker expresses admiration, gratitude, or condemnation. The primary audience for epidictic speeches include attendees at a ceremony, the general public, or specific individuals being honored or criticized. Eulogy is a speech given at a funeral to commemorate a person who has died. Eulogies not only praise the departed but also make sense of their passing for the audience. Encomium is a speech that holds someone or something up as an example for others. These speeches praise a person or thing. Apologia is a speech that justifies or apologizes for an action. The goal is to get the audience to view a person or action more favorably. Simile is a comparison between two unlike things. For example, she sings like an angel. Metaphor is a direct comparison between two unlike things. Time is a thief, for example. Personification is giving human attributes to non-human things. Hyperbole, deliberately exaggerate for effect. I've told you a million times, for example. Understatement is deliberate minimization of importance or magnitude. Alliteration is the repetition of initial consonant sounds in consecutive or nearby words. For example, she sells seashells by the seashore. Onomatopoeia are words that imitate these sounds they represent. For example, buzz, moo, crash. Anaphora is the repetition of the same word or phrase at the beginning of consecutive clauses or sentences. For example, the I Have a Dream speech by Martin Luther King Jr. Epistrophe is the repetition of the same word or phrases at the end of consecutive clauses or sentences. For example, where now, who now, when now. Oxymoron combines two contradictory or opposite words. For example, deafening silence. Paradox is a statement that seems contradictory but reveals a deeper truth. For example, less is more. Antithesis places contrasting or opposite ideas side by side. Irony is saying one thing but meaning the opposite, often to mock or convey sarcasm. Synecdoche uses a part to represent the whole or the whole to represent a part. For example, all hands on the deck. Metonymy uses a related word to represent something else. For example, the White House issued a statement. Exigence is the problem or occasion for change that causes someone to speak. When people engage in rhetorical speech, they often do so because they want to address a problem. Audience is the group of people who need to be persuaded to take action. Constraints are the things that stand in the way of dealing with exigence. They can be attitudes or real structures such as policies, laws, or economic constraints. The rise of digital technology and social media has transformed the landscape of rhetoric. Digital rhetoric explores how persuasive communication occurs in online spaces, including websites, blogs, social media platforms, and more. It examines the unique affordances and constraints of digital communication. Modern rhetoric emphasizes the importance of understanding and engaging the audience. One of the most common criticisms against rhetoric is that it can be used to manipulate and deceive. This view sees rhetoric as mere sophistry focused on persuasion at the expense of truth. Another criticism is that rhetoric appeals to emotion rather than reason. Critics argue that rhetorical strategies such as pathos can exploit the audience's emotions and bypass their rational faculties. Ancient Indian rhetoric is influenced by the philosophical and interpretative traditions of Vedanta texts and Mimamsa. Alankar is a central concept in ancient Indian rhetoric. It refers to the ornamental or figurative use of language. Ras is another crucial concept in ancient Indian rhetoric. It is the emotional experience evoked in the audience through linguistic and aesthetic expression. Thanks for staying along, friends. As always, it was a delight having you here. I'll be back with another video very soon. Till then, have a great time.